Hello, good afternoon on this Sunday. My name's Sonia. Welcome to my channel. This is like too far that way. Okay. So we're still talking about spirit flights. I have a broom here for, I don't know, display purposes, because it kind of has to do with today's topic, still, like I said, having to do with spirit flight. The metaphorical witch's broomstick. Sits forgotten in the back of an old closet. Is yours forgotten? Is its handle furred with cobwebs and its bristles sagging under the weight of dust? Has it been untouched for so long that even the broom has forgotten its purpose? Have you forgotten forgotten how to use it? Forgotten why you even wanted to? Forgotten what it felt like to rise above the ordinary world and slip into the other one? And the broom remains grounded. And most of today's witches no longer fly. There are some of us that still do. But a closed door is not a sealed fate. Open that door just a crack, and that thin beam of light will spill across your forgotten tool, illuminating its crooked silhouette. And in that small gesture, barely more than curiosity, something might stir. The past, long dismissed as superstition or metaphor, reveals itself as far more interesting, more dangerous, more alive than the sanitized present that has replaced it. And to look at that broom again is to remember that witchcraft once meant crossing thresholds, negotiating with spirits, and stepping into states of being that modern practice rarely dares to touch. So let's widen that crack. Oh. So I sprayed cinnamon spray on it, and I keep getting the strong whiffs of it. Let's widen that crack. Let's let the dust rise. Let's illuminate a past that still hums beneath our feet, waiting for someone willing to reclaim it. If today's witches no longer leave their bodies in the ecstasy of soul flight, then it is fair to say they no longer believe in the soul at all, nor in hosts of spirits, nor in old gods, nor in other worlds, nor in magic as anything more than a poetic metaphor. Without such beliefs, and without first-hand experience of them, witchcraft collapses into a farce. Empty rituals spoken with empty words, performed in crushed velvet robes under the soft glow of LED candles. What remains is not craft, but costume. Not practice, but performance. A role-playing game dressed up as spirituality. This is not said to sneer at beginners or to gatekeep the curious. It's said because the broom in the closet cannot be reclaimed if we pretend that it was never meant to fly. Witchcraft without spirits, without altered states, without the raw and risky intimacy of crossing worlds, becomes a hollow imitation of itself, pleasant, aesthetic, and harmless, but stripped of the very thing that once made it dangerous, potent, and worth doing. For me, witchcraft is not neo-pagan goddess devotion. It's not secular nature reverence, nor sentinel tree embracing, nor the glittery optimism of New Age spirituality. That's not saying that I don't give goddesses their due respect. That's not saying that I don't revere nature. That's not saying I'm not going to hug a tree. Yeah, I don't have the glittery optimism. But that's not witchcraft. That is something you can do on your path. But doing those things in particular are not witchcraft. Not historical wise, anyway. Witchcraft is not safe and tidy and gentle. It's not going to make you morally pure or spiritually comfortable. It belongs to the trickster, the exile, the wanderer, and the one who walks a crooked path. I claim it because I understand that every flame casts a shadow, and I have stared into the dark hollows of my own spirit, and I didn't turn away. I accept the whole of myself, the beautiful and the brutal alike. I believe witchcraft demands cunning, strategic thinking, self-knowledge, flexible ethics, and a little touch of madness. It's pulling deep roots of the dark plants at midnight. It's blood offered to hungry spirits. We're talking about pinpricks here, people, or, younger ones that still have their monthly moon. I don't. And whispered agreements made with the demons, indifferent to human virtue. Dried henbane smoldering on coals, its smoke inhaled to speak with the dead. It's an ancient charm sung to slip into the shape of a hair. It's a Sabbath wine drunk in a farce on Walpurgis night. The body spinning around in ecstatic frenzy beneath the full moon and never being the same again. A craft stripped of spirits, stripped of otherworldly knowledge, stripped of transformation and flight, becomes something else entirely for me. Something too tame and safe and decorative for me. The witches of yore were defined by their ability to cross thresholds, to connect with beings beyond human sight, to alter their state of being, and to move between the worlds. What is the word witch without those? I died when I became a witch. My ordinary human self was surrendered for the witch to be born, because everything I was before, I no longer was after, as far as beliefs. It's a kind of death because I then started living on this liminal path, being half alive and half dead. A soul caught between worlds, not only human, but also spirit. Slipping between forms, human, animal, shade, elemental force, otherworld being, drifting through past, present, and future, knowing that time is a looping illusion at every moment accessible. Moving through realms and existing in all of them at the same time. Possessed and possessing others, witnessing what others can't see, hearing what they can't hear, and going places they can't go, and having experiences that we are told are impossible. We hang between belief and disbelief, living in a paradox, dancing that thin line between life and death, waking and dreaming, magic and madness. We are the unnatural. I mostly hear the word fear when talking about this state of flying, mostly from ignorance. As in, not actually like hearing something and just going by that instead of looking more into it. We could find out magic is real, or it might not be. What's written in old texts about it sounds dangerous, and of course we fear death. But sleep is a cousin of death. When we soul flight, we're lying lifeless to this world, traveling to places terrifying, and yet at the same time wonderful. Vivid dreams can leave us exhausted and shaken, but were they really dreams? It also goes by the name of death walking, some will call it, or more common word, traveling, leaving your body with a slight chance of not returning, having your soul trapped somewhere or by something, and we still do it anyway, sometimes not of our own free will. But do we ever regret it? It gets easier to leave our body each time and to remember what we see more vividly. Some people will call this kind of talk very dramatic or overly dramatic, and it just is what it is. Period. Where does your soul go? And what do you do when you escape your body? Do you visit other fellow witches for instruction or Sabbath gatherings to share power? Does your soul ride animals to feel their movement through forests or a tree, to travel from the root to the branch? Do you crave feathers to fly or a predator bird's eyes to see the far lands? Have you ever flew with the wind or just jumped in a lightning bolt across the sky? How about the underworld to visit the dead and to hear their secrets? A seer's soul will travel into the future and then sometimes into the past. A healer's soul could slip into someone who is ill to see what is making them sick. A shapeshifter's soul could go into animals or insects or even plants, or assume the look of them in the other world. A dream walker can enter someone's dreams to give a message or a curse. A psychopomp guides souls into the underworld and maybe bring back a message also. Darker practitioners have left their bodies to look for souls to bind into fetishes so they can use that power. These are mostly seen in the folklore and fairy tales. What's interesting is these used to be descriptions for the practitioners of witchcraft. How do you do soul flight? It can take weeks to years of putting in the effort. The crazy thing is that some of us can do this without hardly trying at all. There are also so many ways that have been used. Beating a drum that sounds like a heartbeat. Chanting that continues to get faster along with your breathing. Using flying ointments. Setting an intention before going to sleep. There are many words and ways of moving your body to music, singing and dancing. Some fast beforehand, before they do this. Some will just sway back and forth. Mushrooms have been used, and infused wines. Some of these are done repeatedly until you collapse from exhaustion and fall into that sleep. Some people will think this all sounds really crazy or cool to do. Others don't want any part of it. It isn't their thing, and that's fine. It can be dangerous, and you should be afraid. We fear death. We should respect death. So don't jump headlong into something without understanding it fully and know why you're doing it. The most important thing is that it should never be about power. I'm not on the witchcraft path at all for dominion or power over anything. Witches who undergo this don't come out of it the same. They could become spirit workers, and they become like servants to powers older and greater than them. It can haunt them and hunt them at the same time. Spirits serve each other, and the witch becomes half spirit. So you are, anyway, when you choose the path and you truly walk it, you become half spirit. Many do spirit work already and know that their body only carries their soul, and it really occurs to you when you start traveling and you experience it. But there are never any guarantees about this. If you did want this path, why do you want it? Is it to be able to see and hear spirits? That's pretty much the answer you're going to hear first. You know, to see things that others can't see. They hear you. You know, so be honest when you're giving that answer, even to yourself. Most have felt called to it. Like something happened in their life with a relative or a death or a ghost or a haunting or some kind of spirit or something. Something spoke to them. And after deciding and working at it and then returning from it, nothing feels the same. Something will always be moving around, and you won't be alone anymore. Now we know about flying. What about landing? How do we come back to our body? So let's look at what shamans do, because, you know, journeying, that's their primary job. This is what they do first and foremost. So they protect themselves with talismans and have a guardian nearby that watches over their body. If they sense some kind of danger, or if the shaman had been gone way too long than what they planned, then they would try to wake them up. Burning yarrow flowers, chanting incantations, or like physically shaking or moving the body. Shamans would also have a familiar or a guardian spirit traveling with them who would be their protectant. Disguises have and are used, such as ashes rubbed on the face to look like the dead, animal furs to blend in, herbs rubbed on the body to mask our human smell. These were done so as not to draw the unwanted attention. There's also problems that can come from the travelers themselves. The challenge would be their own desire or maybe failure to return. They could connect there so greatly, you know, with being outside their body, that they just forgot about coming back, or maybe they got lost. A lot of time could have gone by when and if they do come back. Getting lost as a shapeshifter is another issue. Forgetting that you are a human being, or becoming prey to the predator of the animal that you shapeshifted into. Also, if a body is left open or unguarded, something else could claim it. Now, these issues are not mentioned for drama. Again, they are possibilities. In the other world, a soul may be used as currency. They can be stolen, traded, or taken by spirits more powerful than the wanderer. A body left unattended could be coveted as well. Just think about it. There could be some long dead shade, that just wants to experience being human again. Nothing in the underworld is as it seems to be. It's not, real human life is not cut and dried anymore. So yeah, the underworld is not. Nothing should be taken at face value here or there. Your familiar spirit can be your best protection. The space that you journey from, if it's your bedroom or your witchy room or outside under a tree, should also have protection. You might feel like going a little overboard with that protection for this particular thing. Lots of the protections that I've already mentioned, like in the spirit trap video and the spirit work ones. The traps, the witch balls, the witch bottles, mirrors, sigils, runes, staves, herbs, animal bones, and their parts also, if those are ones you work with. You can also draw these protective symbols on you, and some people have even gotten them tattooed on them. If you have consecrated jewelry, then wear them. You can call your familiar spirit and then put their fetish near you. That's like the skull or something, and that is where your familiar spirit resides when you're working with it. Wands and staffs also can be beside you. I've mentioned that Rowan was favorited by Gauls and the Norse. They thought they were very protective. Whenever you journey, wherever you journey to, you can use triggers to help bring you back. Like if you're doing a waking journey and you have your staff there, like if you're sitting like this and it's a waking journey, you go into that trance, then you would have your staff and you would tap it 3 times. And if you're using like a drum or chanting or any other action, you would just stop doing it. Of course, a watcher is always a good idea, and they can like gently shake you awake. But if you're by yourself, you can set an alarm. Afterwards, ground yourself by eating and drinking and touch something living from nature. Laugh out loud or sing. If your journey wasn't pleasant, okay, or if you feel like something followed you, then you would take a spiritual cleansing bath. I have a video on spiritual cleansing also. You can have your candles there, your herbs there, like lavender, rosemary, other ones that you use. Cedar needles with salt will work too. Lots of things. So some of us fly and some of us don't. Don't force it, okay? And it really can't be taught. It's like it's an experience that you build up, really, is what it is. Everything lies in your ability to just let go, surrendering. step beyond what you think you know and into what you don't know. Fairy tales are often dismissed and magic is rationalized. And so the whole point of all of it is just, it's missed altogether, the whole point. These tales, fairy tales, myths, they are paradoxes, and so they shouldn't be taken at face value. Their truths are symbolic. Imagine if they unfold into realms that aren't physical, such as the other world, spirit lands even. They may describe events that occur behind the veil. We lose the wisdom woven into them by treating them as just mere fantasy. They have encoded knowledge preserved in metaphor, riddle, and myth, much like my writing that I tried to do. It had metaphors, riddles, and myths that by some was completely disregarded, misread, and that's just a story that made no sense. Fairy tales are maps of the unseen, written in the language of symbol and spirit. They are meant to be deciphered for their meanings, their layers, to reveal worlds beyond our own. Some may even be instructions in disguise. So I've been reading this Singing with Blackbirds, and they have in here about how the Celtic would use the drumming to go into trance. And I thought that was really interesting, seeing as that's what I was talking about. So we'll talk about that some other time. And I guess that's it until next video. I'll see you then.